This is the world's smallest Bible. You know that? Look at, that's the whole Bible. And like the instructions say here, this Bible, the reproduction of the 1,245 pages in this edition of the Holy Bible on the attached little tiny slide is the result of another scientific achievement by the research and development staff at the NCR Corporation in Dayton, Ohio. So they published this Bible, and this is the King James Version of the Bible on one little card. Isn't that far out? There's the whole Bible. Talk about hiding the word in your heart, you know, or keeping it, boy, close to your heart. The whole Bible right there. Wow. Are you a Christian? Okay, so far everybody in the room said yes, they're Christian. And then we have to ask ourselves, well, what kind of a Christian are you? You have to understand that a lot of people in the world today call themselves Christians without really knowing what it is to be a Christian. Well, what could we just use our imaginations for a minute and try to figure out what might be a Christian? Okay, since I've got the mic here, let's say I'll use my imagination. Well, I'm a Christian. I think that means that, gee, I believe in Jesus. And thanks for getting rid of those phones there. I believe in Jesus. Or I'm going to follow the words, I'm going to do the things Jesus said to do, and that makes me a Christian. Does that sound like that might make you a Christian if you say, I'm going to follow the things that Jesus said? Now, you've got a problem if you don't know what Jesus said, don't you? If you say, I'm a Christian, and I'm going to do the things that Jesus said to do, and you don't know what he said, I would say we've got a little problem, right? And do you think there are a lot of people out there that said, I'm a Christian? I was in the Middle East once. We were in Jordan, and a Christian family took us into their house for 3 weeks. And 10%, we were in Syria and in Damascus, which is the oldest city in the world, the oldest standing city in the world that exists today. And the Christians in that room, when we would be with them, down the corner of the street, like every street in Damascus, there was a mosque. And every 5 hours, you could hear the prayers of the Muslims. And every time the prayers start, and they have them on a loudspeaker, Allah Akbar! If you ever lived in the Arab world, you'll know that means God is great, and that's how they start their prayers. And every time they would say Allah Akbar, these Christians, no matter where they were, we'd be in the living room, like in a chair like this, all the men would turn to the corner like this and go and spit. You know, and the reason they did that, we say, oh, those Muslims were Christians. And that was what it meant to be a Christian there for them. It was almost like a political thing. Those poor people didn't really know what it really meant to be a Christian. Why didn't they know? Because they never opened this book, the Holy Bible, to read what it was really, what you were supposed to do if you were a Christian. Now, I would say that if you say you're a Christian and that we have to examine your life, and this is really an individual thing, isn't it? Because we're all different. There are different things. This is not, by the way, about us, what we're talking about, or how we look, or how we dress, or how we appear to other people. This is about our level of Christianity. That's what we're talking about right now. And this class, and what we want to do during this time is just going to be so vital to your being able to tell somebody what it means to be a Christian and how to, you know, get into somebody's heart and get into their mind really and convince them that they should also be a Christian like you. But let's look at your standard of Christianity for a second. And that is, well, what do you believe in? I believe in Jesus. I mean, I'm a Christian, but I have a job, and I work from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock at my job every day. And I work in a bank, but I'm a Christian. I go to church on Sunday, or I do my little thing for Jesus, but most of my time I'm spending, you know, in the bank because I'm making a living for, you know, myself and my family. And we do have to define Christian, what you believe and the word believe. We do have to look at what you do and how you spend most of your time. And we have to really say, I know what you really believe because I see how you're spending your time. We teach our children in school today that if you want to be a success, you have to have a better education because it means you're going to get a better job, you're going to have more money, and therefore you're going to be a happier person. Most people think that more money is going to make you happier, right? And therefore, you need to better yourself, and you spend most of your time doing that. And you get a better education, and then you get a better job, and then you say that you're a Christian? Well, I would have to say, I think you really believe in banking. You're a banker, and you work in the bank from 9 to 5. That's what you really believe, because you're going to do with your life what you really believe in. You're going to spend your time doing, or if it's making money, you're going to spend your time doing that, because that's really, truly, when it comes right down to it, what you really believe in is what you're going to spend most of your time doing. I'm a Christian, but I spend most of my time at the gym because it's really important for me how I look. And you see these muscles? I lift my shirt the other day and said, your arms are so skinny. I said, well, you haven't seen me when I take my shirt all the way off. But I spend most of my time in the gym. Well, that means you really believe in bodybuilding. That's your main belief, right? Hey, come on in, make yourself at home wherever you. And we have to look at ourselves and be honest. I spend half of my time in front of a mirror. And you know why I do that? Because I really believe in myself. A lot of people are honest, and let's be honest, and what we believe and what we do. If you spend, you break your day up, and you have, let's say, 16 hours in your 16 hours of your day is spent awake, and let's say 8 hours of your day is spent sleeping. So take the 16 hours and look at what you're doing with those 16 hours, and you have to kind of analyze your own self and say, this is what I really believe in. I'm doing this. Maybe in those 16 hours, you're doing 4 different things. So you believe in those 4 different things. And maybe everything is, you're trying to get to one goal. And if your goal, of course, is to, influence the world with the gospel, well, that's great. Now, let's pretend that tomorrow, okay, we're Christians. Okay, we agree that we're all Christians. And we're not just going to be Christians, but we're going to be soldiers. Let's pretend for a minute that we're not just Christians, but we're the elite of the Christian Guard. We're Christian soldiers. And we're going to get our weapons and shine them. Do you know, when you go into the army, what are some of the things that a soldier in the world today, say in the military, what would be some of the things you have in your possession as a soldier? Oh, someone said a gun. Walking boots, ammunition. Right? Let's say we're preparing to go to war. Would you learn how to, would you think it would be important that you know how to use your gun? Can you imagine if you went to war and you didn't know how to use your gun? I mean, it would be suicide. Okay, now let's pretend, and they spend hours cleaning the gun, how fast you can clean it, how fast you can load it, and what a sharpshooter you are to be able to shoot the enemy. Otherwise, they're going to shoot you, and it's going to cost your life. Okay, now let's translate that into, let's say we're Christian soldiers. What kind of weapons do we have? What would be our weapons? Do you think this could be one of our weapons too? Hey, the Bible, God's Word, this is one of our greatest weapons if you know how to use it. How do you use this? When you go, let's say tomorrow is going to be the big battle.